The next time your air conditioner stops blowing cold and someone tells you it's low on Freon, there's a strong chance the real problem costs about $5 and is sitting in a part the size of a soda can. Refrigerant is not fuel. It doesn't burn off, run down, or get used up over the summer. The system is sealed shut by design. If it's genuinely low, you have a leak, and topping it off every year is paying to refill a bucket with a hole in the bottom instead of patching the hole. Here is what you walk away with today. The $5 part that fails more often than anything else in a home AC and fakes every single symptom of low refrigerant. The free 10-minute cleaning that brings back cooling people pay a few $100s to diagnose. And the one 30-second check that tells you whether you need a real repair or you're about to get sold refrigerant, you were never short on. Start with how the system actually works, because the whole scam lives in this one misunderstanding. Refrigerant runs in a closed loop. It absorbs heat from inside your house, carries it outside, dumps it through the outdoor coil, and comes back to do it again. Same refrigerant, over and over for the life of the unit. It is not gasoline. A car burns fuel and the tank empties. An AC moves the same refrigerant in a circle and nothing leaves. So a system that is genuinely low on refrigerant is telling you one thing and one thing only. There is a leak somewhere in the loop and the gas is escaping. Adding more without finding that leak means you're back in the same spot next summer, writing the same check. Most people learn this the expensive way. The unit stops cooling, a tech adds a pound of refrigerant, it works for a few months, and the next season it's low again because the leak was never fixed, only fed. That repeat charge is the tell. Now the part that actually breaks, the capacitor. And no, I'm not talking about the flux capacitor from the movie Back to the Future. Here is what it is. It's a small cylinder inside the outdoor unit, and its only job is to store a jolt of electricity and hand it to the motors so they can start spinning. Your AC has motors that need a hard kick to get moving, the fan on top and the compressor inside. The capacitor delivers that kick. When it weakens or dies, the motors get the command to start but never get the shove. So the unit hums, it buzzes. The fan on top sits still or barely twitches. The compressor tries and clicks off. Every one of those symptoms looks exactly like a system starved of refrigerant. No cold air, unit running, but doing nothing, which is precisely why it gets misdiagnosed as a Freon problem. Here's the test. With the unit on and calling for cooling, if the top fan isn't spinning, take a long stick, a wooden dowel, a paint stir, and through the grill, give the fan blade a gentle push. If it catches and spins up on its own and keeps running, your capacitor is dead. That motor was fine, it just had nothing to start it. A run capacitor for a home AC costs $5 to $15. The HVAC call to swap that exact part runs $150 to $450. One hard rule before you ever open that panel: cut the power at the disconnect box on the wall beside the unit, not just the thermostat. And understand that a capacitor stores a charge even with the power off. It has to be discharged before you touch the terminals, by bridging them with an insulated screwdriver. This is the one repair on this channel where the electricity will hurt you if you skip the steps. Power off at the disconnect, discharge the capacitor, then work. If that sentence made you nervous, that's the right instinct. But now you also know that the $400 repair was a $5 part, and you can hand a tech that exact diagnosis instead of letting them hand you a refrigerant bill. Before the next fix, kill the myth, because half your neighbors believe it. The idea that an AC needs a Freon recharge every season the way a car needs an oil change is completely false. A sealed loop does not consume refrigerant. There is no maintenance refill. The only reason a properly built system ever goes low is a leak, and a leak is a repair, not a routine. Anyone selling you an annual top-off as regular upkeep is selling you a refill on a bucket they're quietly hoping you never notice is cracked. Now the free fix that brings back cooling without spending a cent, the outdoor coil. That whole outer cage of thin metal fins wrapping your condenser unit is where your house's heat gets dumped into the outside air. Over a couple of seasons, it packs solid with dust, grass clippings, dryer lint, cottonwood, and dead bugs. Once those fins are caked, the unit physically cannot release heat fast enough. The refrigerant comes back from outside still warm, the air from your vents turns lukewarm, and the system reads exactly like it's low on charge. When the charge is perfect and the coil is just suffocating under a blanket of dirt, cut the power, take a regular garden hose, and spray the coil from the inside out if you can reach it, top to bottom, until the water runs clear. No pressure washer. That bends the fins flat and makes it worse. Just steady water pressure. A coil that hasn't been touched in 3 years will cool noticeably better within the hour. That's a service call people pay a couple $100s for, done with a hose in 10 minutes. So here's the 30-second question that decides everything before you spend $1. Is the outdoor fan spinning? Walk outside while the AC is running. If the fan is dead still or humming, that's the capacitor. $5, not refrigerant. If the fan is spinning fine but the cooling is weak, look at the coil. If it's filthy, that's your free fix. Only after the fan runs, and the coil is clean and the air is still warm, do you even start the conversation about refrigerant. And at that point, the honest answer is a leak search, not a top-off. That order, fan then coil then everything else, is the exact sequence that keeps you from paying for the most expensive guess. One more, because it turns a guess into proof. Slide a basic thermometer into the supply vent, blowing into a room, then into the return vent, pulling air back. A healthy system pulls air across the coil and drops its temperature by 16 to 22 degrees between those 2 points. That gap is called the temperature split, and it's the number a good tech checks first. If your split is in that range, your refrigerant is fine no matter what anyone tells you. The cooling problem is airflow or a dirty coil, never the gas. If the split is small or nothing, then you have a real system issue worth diagnosing. A $10 thermometer settles the argument before anyone opens a panel, and it puts the one piece of evidence the upsell depends on you not having directly in your hand. A $5 capacitor, a free coil rinse, a sealed loop that was never meant to be refilled, and a thermometer that ends the debate. That's the difference between a $400 summer and a $5 one. Share this with the one person you know who gets talked into a Freon recharge every single July, and I'll see you in the next one.